one. So I hired him as the supervisor of that team, and we went in to have a great time. I quickly found out that, like Janet was saying, that he had quite a sense of humor. This was about 3 months after he started. I was looking over, there was 4 other gals working in our building, and they were all huddled up in the corner one day. And they motioned over to me and said, "Dave, come here. And I walked over and they said, "We're thinking about giving Gene a Book of Mormon." And I was kind of stunned by that, and I thought, asked him, "Well, how did you come up with that idea to give him a Book of Mormon?" He was thinking, and Corey, the admin there, told me, she said, "Well, every time we're talking about the church, he just says, 'Is that what you Mormons believe?' and would walk off." And so later I got with Gene, and he thought that was pretty funny. That it took that, they couldn't believe it took that long for them to figure that out. Another joke, well, he was playing jokes all the time over there, and this guy would set these things up like he would, it'd be just these elaborate things. But another one, he invited a bunch of these old guys on the wiring construction crew that was just like Gene. They were collectors of guns and that kind of thing. And if you can imagine 5 or 6 of these guys pulling up in their trucks, like Gene, with as many things as he had to go out and shoot. We pulled up there. If the ATF would have found us, we would still be under investigation. So he had this gun called the Thompson Contender. For those that don't know what this thing is it kind of looks like a black powder combined with a modern day pistol, about this long. And so he got that thing out and was letting everybody shoot it, and it shot a 45 slug out of it. And he had played this trick on me before, so I knew what he was doing. So he says, "Dave, why don't you go over there in the back of my truck and get one of these clay pigeons." He had a hand thrower that you'd stick the clay pigeon in your hand and you'd fling it out there. So I want to see if I can hit one of those. Right before that, he went back to his truck and set this thing out. So I go back there, fling that clay pigeon out, bang! The thing just shatters, and everybody's jaw just drops like he shot this clay pigeon out of the air with this pistol. And one guy says, "I bet you can't do it again." So I load it up again, and I fling it out there. Bang! He shatters it again. He told him later that he had actually switched the barrel out for a 410 shotgun barrel. He was able to do it. Still, that's pretty impressive shooting. He taught me how to reload. He got me into that. I spent many hours at his place. Pat knows, hours after hours. And we used to, on the way home from work, often we'd go to down to Pace and Sporcher, and all the different gun shows in the state, from Price to Ogden, we'd go to them. So I started taking my grandkids to Gene's house to let them learn, and they each learned and really enjoyed that. Taylor and Tyler Andrews that's here, and Aaron and Addison. The little Aaron, we would see him disappear about every 15 minutes, and he'd take off, and we wouldn't see him again. He'd come back with a handful of candy. Then I'd say, "Where'd you get that?" And he'd take off again. Come to find out, he was sneaking up into Pat's candy bowl and stealing the candy out of her candy bowl. But they just loved Gene. They thought he was the coolest guy ever, which he was. I'm just going to tell you a few little spiritual things that I have. We were a while ago. It was after the Nobel merger that Gene and I were tasked with taking a big surplus computer system. It was a telecom computer system out of San Jose. And so Gene was going to do the cabling, I was going to do the software, so we loaded that thing up in the company truck and headed on out San Jose. We got out there and got finished in 2 days, and we decided, "Well, we'll head home." And so we started driving, got late at night, and we found this little hotel, and we paid our fee and checked in and started checking the rooms, and there was 3 or 4 guys out there were kind of staring us down, and we went out to dinner that night. I was kind of uneasy, but Gene says, Dave, you need to leave here. He said, I don't know why, but we need to leave here now. And even if we have to lose our money on our hotel, we need to leave. So I agreed, because I had the same feeling. And so he was in tune. I don't know what would have happened if we would have stayed there, but we got back in the truck, traveled another full hour to find another hotel where we could stay that night. And I was grateful that he was in tune with the Spirit. On another occasion, we had this, the telecom manager on the Novell side. She was in her 60s, and she happened to find a spot on her lung when she had an exam, and she had been away from the church since she was 14. She was a chain smoker, probably about 85 pounds. And our team was helping the Novell team with some projects, so they just didn't have enough staff, so each day we'd go down and do a recap of what we were talking about. And the news kind of shook her up. So she started asking Gene and I questions about the gospel, because she wanted to get right with the Lord. And so little by little, Gene took the lead for sure, and was able to answer all those questions slowly and surely. Yet right back into the church, she ended up retiring shortly thereafter. Her and her husband wasn't active. They ended up getting sealed in the temple, and the last report we had that he was a gospel doctrine teacher. So for those of you grandkids, your grandfather was a missionary. Some of well, we used to go to lunch quite a bit, and one of the things that I thought was quite amusing, and I taught my own grandkids, he had one rule when it comes to eating things. One rule he lived by, and he always told me, he says, Dave, I make it a point never to eat any vital organs. So I had to agree with that. But we had a lot of discussions over the years. He had some crazy siblings, and so did I. We never complained about our wives, ever. But he talked to the experience of growing up without his parents, his older brother taking care of him, and getting in a lot of trouble when he'd take his family Jeep out and get stuck upside the canyon. Talked about how he got his first car, his first gun when him and Pat were married. He put $10 down. He'd go over and pay on a weekly. We talked about current events, politics, religion, everything. He had a testimony of the prophet. He had the full support of the prophet. I think that's why we got along so well, is that him and I's moral compass was very close. I see things pretty much black and white, and I think Gene did too. Not a lot of gray area. So I can't remember a single time in 35 years where we argued about anything. We didn't talk a lot about his condition the last few months. I think he just wanted to have just a few hours off once in a while. He was like a big brother. He knew that he could talk to me about anything, I could talk to him about anything, and it didn't matter. I think between the two of us, we had every tool there is. I could borrow anything I had a project, didn't have a tool, he for sure had it. And one chance in 10 that I had the tool that he needed, that he knew that he could come and borrow from me, so we got along pretty well. Joseph Smith wrote the following about family members and friends. How good and glorious it has seemed unto me, to find pure joy and holy friends who are faithful, just, and true, and whose hearts fail not, and whose knees are confirmed and do not falter. Elder Ashton wrote, a friend is a priceless possession, because a true friend is one who is willing to take us the way we are, but is able to leave us better than he found us. Gene's most important thing is his family. And he said it many times that he loved Tony, Dirk, Vic, and Jeremy just as much as he loved his own kids. And he felt very grateful to have such a wonderful family. I know Gene had a testimony in the church and found salvation, so do I. I know he knows a little bit of his, but so do I. I know someday we'll all see him. I'm rejoicing in that reunion. And I see these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
was beautiful and heavenly. And I am grateful we get to each honor my dad in our different ways today. Thanks, guys. So I'm the third blah blogger in a row, and I'm going to do a little bit of blah blahing about my dad. First of all, along with Jan, I just want to thank all of you for being here. All of you here have a part of my dad. You know him in different ways, and it means so much to come together, for all of us to be here together today. And I just want to say thank you for being here. I think that we represent all different areas of his life, and I love that we can celebrate and also say goodbye to him today. I think funerals are tricky. You agree with me on that? We are here to celebrate a life that there's no way we can capture everything that there is. And we are here to mourn and probably don't know what all that means for us. So it's no wonder that maybe funerals aren't our favorite place to be. But I think the point of the funeral is to be here together and to remember him in a way that we can do all together and see all aspects of his life. We're going to mourn and we're going to celebrate a little bit. We're going to have closure, and I believe take a little part of him home with us today. And that's what I want to talk about today. I've loved what Jenna and Dave had to say. I think they've captured my dad really well, and I don't know that I can add much more to that. But I want to talk about maybe how we take part of him with us today. I heard it said that God has created worlds without numbers, and a friend once told me that each individual person is a creation of God and a world unto themselves. And if that is true, not only are the planets, but we are the creations that God will make without numbers. And my belief is that when each of us is born, we begin to create and build a life. And we become who we will become, and we create a world, a life that is uniquely ours. And when any of us leave, when we die, that world and that creation that we had, our life, leaves and goes with that person. And what is left is simply the effect that we have had on other people. Now, for us who remain behind, if we are lucky and if we are smart, those of us who are part of someone else's life will allow a little bit of that world to stay within us. And that creates a powerful bond, a real bond that is not seen but is felt. And it is something that can continue to guide us and influence us and tie us together with that person, connecting us forever. So today we're gathered here together to celebrate the world of Jim Lofgran. Now, I think to really do it right, we all need to be around a campfire, smelling like smoke and mosquito repellent and swatting at the bugs, but we don't have that option. So we're here celebrating my dad, and I believe that it was a life that was really well lived, and a world that was uniquely his own, and he did it exceptionally well. In fact, I believe that his life speaks much for himself, and not much that we can add to it other than looking at his example. So how do we let his life world, or let his world and his life live on through us? I think that happens naturally as people that we love influence us. But I think if we want to be more conscientious about it, I would encourage you to just take a minute to think about how you felt when you were around my dad. What was it that you loved about being with him? For me, there were many things. But what means the most to you? What endears him to you? And that is the thing that you might want to take with you. It's likely something very simple. My dad says he was a simple man, and he did have a way of simplifying things so that the important things were important and the things that weren't. But with this idea, think about that. What did he make you feel like when you were with him? I'm just going to share a couple of things that stood out to me that I want to be more like with my dad, and end with the biggest thing. So first of all, as Dave and Jenna have pointed out, he had a knack for enjoying life. I mean, he loved to have fun. Anybody who's going to throw their money into a sand pile, give it up for free, is somebody who likes to have fun. There was just that streak of mischievousness that brings a certain richness to life, and we were able to enjoy that from him. I will be more like that. I want to be more like that. He loves sharing, And you all know he shared his garden, and he has a Pepsi in the fridge for anybody who wants it. My mom has restocked, and so it's there for you. But you know what I love most is that he shared his time, his hope, his love, and his life. And I will be one like that. He had a long-term perspective on life that let him know clearly what was important and what was not. And I believe that this brought a sense of peace and patience to his life. This is another story from long ago, before cell phones, kids. There were phones that were connected at home and you couldn't carry it with you. And if you called somebody out of state, it cost you more money. And in a time where I know my mom and dad were careful with their money, my dad made a point, I think it was every month, to make sure that he called his brothers who were out of state. And that cost him money, but he knew the importance of staying in touch with family. And as a child, I never made a deal of that, but I saw that and I could sense that that was important to him. So lots of things about him. What I think we all know most about Gene is his ability to love. And he was masterful with that. Most of us who knew him have been changed by his ability to love unconditionally. There were no strings attached. What he offered was simply himself. His attention, his time, his concern in your life, his support and protection, his belief in you. Dad's hallmark trait was this ability to see others as they are and to see into the potential of someone. And that type of love changes people for the better. He was gifted in this way. And I want to be more like that. And I can, because I've had an example that helps me to change my heart on a daily basis. So those are some things that I loved about my dad that I want to take. But there are a lot of things. His love of nature, his generosity, his ability to cook the best steak ever. Even though it includes butter, I still have trouble with that, but it makes it good somehow. Reciting poetry, woodworking, photography, service, love of learning. I would say maybe something we don't think of much is his determination or lack of fear in being able to reach for what he wanted in life. He built a house for peace sake, history, and he didn't know how to do that. Maybe his enthusiasm for his above, for all of his hobbies, and humility was certainly part of his charm. And I have to think, was all of that easy for him? Because to me, he made it look easy and so natural. I would guess, since it's just very human nature, that it was hard at times, that he had to stretch to become who he was to us today, particularly considering his life, that I think was hard. He had some really, really hard things. Things were not as they were supposed to be as a child. We didn't focus on that. We didn't hear much about that. We heard about his appreciation of life. But I think somewhere along the way, he must have decided to let the hard things make him better, just as Jenna mentioned. When I think of my dad, I'm overwhelmed at what he gave me. And if you're like me, I'm sometimes afraid that I will forget. What that love and acceptance feels like, even though he gave it to me unconditionally every time I was with him. I was speaking to the hospice chaplain shortly after my dad passed away, and she mentioned something that made me think differently in all of her experiences with people who are near death or dying. She said, we think heaven is somewhere above. We think it's far away. She said, it's not. It's right here with us. And all you need to do is to learn to listen to him in a new way and to listen for him. Which I think sounds great. It will work well because he never did teach by lecturing. But I love an example of what you felt when you were near him. My daughter Carrie said that Grandma never taught her anything directly by speaking to her, except for to pull all the way through the parking lot, or the parking spaces, so you don't have to back out, you can just pull forward. But that, and I think that's me, said, but the steering wheel, oh, you steer at the bottom, hold on to the bottom of the steering wheel. But those are the only things. So maybe too much doesn't change now. Maybe when we think of him, he's close by. The Spirit will remind us, and he will speak to us in different ways. Whatever part of him we want to take with us, his memory and the Spirit will guide us in learning how to do that. As I mentioned, rarely did he outright lecture, but if he could tell us anything now, I think he would want others to know he loved them and to be at peace with him being gone. He gave us all we needed while he was here. And probably the most important thing to remember about the part of his legacy is just to love each other and have fun along the way. To all of those who are mourning his loss, I would say, how can we not? And I would say also, be still and know that God is in his place. Be still and appreciate the pain, sadness, and gratitude and joy that comes from loving another one. Be still and love life and those around us. This is the only way to do it, and it is the only way to go through life. I will miss the time in this life that I have with my dad. He was a man who shaped and shared my world with his. I'm grateful for the parts of him that remain in me, the memories, the teaching, and most of all the love. Our worlds will always be combined together. I will end by saying that my dad and my mom gave me the world and loved me the way that they did. And one of the truest compliments I can give my dad would be to say that having him as a dad made it easy for me to believe that there is another Father, a God in heaven, who could easily love me as well. May each of us take a part of Gene Lofgran's world and keep him forever with us in whatever way speaks to you in your own personal way. I love you, Dad. You will always be a part of me. I say this in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Brothers and sisters, I might just hold on until you get back, Jimmy. Brothers and sisters, I'm going to wait for